and welcome to Nana's Crafty Home. My name is Tanya. Today's tutorial is going to show you how to crochet the flower medley motif. You're going to find this as a free written pattern on my website at nanascraftyhome.com. This tutorial is going to work through the whole square so that you'll see how to make this motif, and then you can take this motif into a blanket, scarf, bag, whatever you choose. My original square uses just 3 colors, and I'm going to be changing that up a little bit for the tutorial. I'm going to be using 4 different colors. For today's tutorial, I'm going to be using 4 colors in We Crochet's Brava worsted weight yarn. I have white, avocado, canary, and this one is sienna. But you can use any colors that you would like. You're also going to need a size I or a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook, which is what corresponds to the size weight yarn I'm using, which is a number 4 worsted acrylic weight yarn. You can use any weight yarn that you would like. I would go ahead and change up your crochet hook to match the yarn that you're using. Let's go ahead and get started. So for round 1, I'm going to get a slip knot and get my yarn on my hook. And chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain that I made. So the 4th chain from the hook, I'm going to slip stitch to form a ring. For round 1, I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to work 8 single crochets in that ring. So inside that ring, so you see this hole here, work 8 single crochets. There's number 1. You can go ahead and add a stitch marker to that first stitch if you would like, just to keep track, but that is completely optional. So that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm not going to slip stitch join. I'm going to just continue on working in a joinless round. So in round 2, I'm going to work 2 single crochets without joining in that first stitch from round 1. And again, you can go ahead and add a stitch marker if you'd like to that first stitch just to keep it marked, but 2 single crochets in that same stitch, 2 single crochets in the next, and in each stitch around. So 2 single crochets in each stitch, and that's going to give us a total of 16 stitches when I've finished round 2. So at the end of round 2 with 16 single crochet stitches, I'm going to now join with the slip stitch to that first single crochet of round 2 and fasten off. Now I'm ready to move on to the flower petal portion of the square. So I'm going to get my petal color on my hook, and I'm going to slip stitch join to any single crochet stitch of that previous round. So it doesn't matter where you start, but just join your yarn with the slip stitch. And I'm ready to begin making petals. So I'm going to pull my loop up to approximately 1.5 inches tall. So that's a pretty tall loop. I'm going to hold that loop on my hook and yarn over. And now I'm going to hold that yarn over loop with my finger. By holding these tightly on my hook, this will keep my loop at the height that I want it to be, and it won't tighten at all. So I'm going to insert my hook now into that same stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop. And pull it up to the same height as that original loop. And you can see that by holding these loops tightly as I'm working, it keeps those loops nice and tall. So I'm going to repeat that 2 more times. So hold these loops, yarn over, pull it down, and hold all those loops on my hook. Insert my hook into the same space, yarn over, and pull up another tall loop. One more time, yarn over, insert my hook, yarn over, and pull up a tall loop. After I've completed that, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on my hook, chain 1 to complete the stitch. And I've made my first petal. I'm going to make a petal in every stitch around. So I'm going to have a total of 16 petals at the end. So again, I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into that next stitch, yarn over, and pull up a tall loop. It will naturally go to the same height as that petal that I just previously made. And I'm going to hold those loops on my hook, yarning over, pulling that down, holding all those loops, and inserting my hook. And I'm doing this a total of 4 times. So this is my second. Third. And fourth. And we're going to continue on working a petal by yarning over, inserting our hook, and pulling up a loop 4 times. And then chaining 1. So continue repeating that same sequence for round 3. So at the end of round 3, you're going to have a total of 16 petals, and at the end, you're going to slip stitch at the top of that first petal that you made. We're going to fasten off. So after fastening off, we're ready to bring in the color of our leaves here around the petals, and I'm going to get that yarn on my hook. And to start off round 4, I'm going to join that color with a slip stitch to any chain 1 space of round 3. Doesn't matter where you get started, just insert your hook into that space in between 2 petals with a slip stitch. Chain 1, single crochet in that same space, single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in that next chain 1 space, single crochet in that next stitch, single crochet in the next space, single crochet at the top of the next stitch, and you're just going to continue repeating that same sequence around. So single crochet, top of the stitch, single crochet, chain 1 space. And we'll end up with a total of 32 stitches at the end of this round. At the end of that round, I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the first stitch, slip stitch join there at the end of round 4, and for round 5 I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's going to count as the first double crochet stitch. I'm going to work 2 double crochets, a chain 3, and 3 double crochets in that same stitch. So 2 double crochets in that same stitch, chain 3, and then 3 double crochets all in that same stitch. Chain 1. Skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, and in the next stitch 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets all in the same stitch. So 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 3 chains, and 3 double crochets all work together in that same stitch. Chain 1, and we're just going to repeat that all the way around, skipping 3 double crochets, chain 3 double crochets in the next stitch, and then a chain 1 in between. At the end of that round, I'm going to slip stitch join in the top of that beginning chain 3, fasten off, and now I'm ready to move on to round 6, which will square off my motif. You're going to have 8 chain 3 spaces when you've completed round 5. This actually would be a fantastic motif just as it is right now. If you don't want to square it off, you could use this for a blanket, you could make a bag, you could do so many different things with this motif. It looks fantastic just as it is. But if you want to square it off, we're going to attach our brown to, so I'm going to get my yarn on my hook. And I'm going to slip stitch join to any chain 3 space of round 5 with a slip stitch. Chain 1 and then single crochet in that same space. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to work 4 trebles, a chain 3, and 4 trebles in that next chain 3 space. And a treble is yarning over twice, inserting my hook into that chain 3, yarning over and pulling up a loop, yarning over, pulling through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm going to work 4 of those. So there's number 2, 3, 4, chain 3, and 4 more trebles, all in that same chain 3 space. There's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to work chain 3, 1, 2, 3, single crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. These are going to be my corners here. The 4 trebles, the chain 3, and the 4 trebles all worked in a chain 3 space creates my corner. So I'm at my next corner, 4 trebles, chain 3, 4 trebles, all worked in that same chain 3 space to create another corner. Chain 3, 4 more trebles, chain 3, single crochet in the next chain 3 space, chain 3, work another corner, 4 trebles in that next chain 3, there's 3, and there's 4, chain 3, 4 trebles, chain 3, single crochet in that next chain 3 space, chain 3, I'm at a corner, 4 trebles, chain 3, and 4 trebles. I'm back at the beginning here. So I'm going to chain 3 and slip stitch join the top of that first stitch for round 6 completed. Round 7, I'm going to chain 1, single crochet in that same stitch, 3 single crochets in that chain 3 space, 1, 2, 3, single crochet in the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 single crochets in that chain 3 corner space, single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So essentially for this round, I'm just working a single crochet in every stitch, 3 single crochets in every chain 3 space, single crochet in the next stitch, 3 single crochets in the next chain 3 space, 3 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches, and then 3 single crochets in each corner as well. So just continue repeating that on around, just working a single crochet in every stitch, 3 single crochets in every chain 3 space. When I get to the end of that round, I'm going to work 3 single crochets in that last chain 3 space, and then slip stitch join to that first stitch, and I've completed my block. I'll fasten off. You can see my finished block here. It does want to kind of crunch together a little bit, so I do think the square does benefit from a wet block. You can see the difference between the one that I've just worked and a square that I did a wet block on, how much more flat it will lie. This is completely optional, but it is a nice way to open up your stitches to get a square to lie a little more flat. And if you're going to be sewing these together, it makes it a little easier to get your stitches to line up and all of that. So if you've never done a wet block before, I do have a video and photo tutorial for that as well. I do have a link below in the description of this video, so if you want to head on over to see how to do that, I do recommend that for this block. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial today. Thanks so much for being with me. As always, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss a new video. Thanks so much for being with me. I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.